Okay, this is lesson 5.5, which is called Applying Operations with Rational Numbers. So basically, we're going to do multi-step word problems or solve problems that are kind of real-world problems that use rational numbers. Okay, so basically, sometimes you might need to change decimals to fractions, or you might need to change fractions to decimals to solve problems. Okay, here's an example. And this example works because it can be converted to both fractions or it can be converted to both decimals pretty easily. So I picked this because it can be the same example for both ways. Okay, so a test had a total of 37.5 points possible. If you got all the points on the test, you get 37.5 points. Tyrone got half the points. So how many points did he get if he got half of them? Well, you could do two things here. You could convert all the numbers to fractions. You could also convert all of the numbers to decimals. First, we're going to do all fractions, and then we're going to do the same problem, but we're going to do it with all decimals, okay? So here's what you have. 37.5 points, he got half of them, 1/2, right? So what we want to know is what is 1/2 of 37.5? I think that I have told many of you, when you see the word of in a math problem, it almost always means multiplication. Not always, but almost always. Of means multiplication. And in this case, it does mean multiplication. We're going to multiply 1/2 times 37.5. However, one of them is a fraction and one of them is a decimal. So we need to change them either all to fractions or we need to change them all to decimals. And you have to decide which one you want to do. For this example, I'm going to do both. First, I'm going to do all fractions and show you how to do that. Then I'm going to do the same problem again, only I'm going to do all decimals. Okay? So we're going to make all the numbers fractions. Well, 1/2 is already a fraction. We need to turn 37.5 into a fraction. Okay? So what is 37.5 as a fraction? Well, first of all, it's a mixed number because 37 is a whole number. So it's still going to be 37, right? The question is, what is the fraction? What is 0.5 or 5/10 as a fraction? This is a 5 in the 10th place. So as a fraction, that is 5/10. Okay, 37 and 5/10. Well, I know that 5/10 can simplify to 1/2 because they have 5 and 10 have a common factor of 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. So 5/10 can reduce to lowest terms of 1/2. So this is the same as 37 and 1/2 if we put it in lowest terms. So now that I have my 37.5 in a fraction, basically what I'm doing is 1/2 times 37.5, right? Because the word of means multiplication. So how do I multiply a fraction times a mixed number? Well, I have to convert this mixed number to an improper fraction. So I have to do 2 times 37 plus 1 and then keep the same denominator. Over here, I'm going to do 37 times 2 because I don't know that by heart, right? 2 times 7 is 14. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So 2 times 37 is 74, plus 1 is 75. And I'm going to keep the same denominator. So it's 1/2 times 75 over 2. All right? Now, I don't see anything I can cross cancel because I don't have one numerator and one denominator, which is a common factor. So I'm just going to multiply straight across. 1 times 75 is 75. 2 times 2 is 4. So now I'm going to divide 75 divided by 4. Well, I'm going to do what's called short division right now. Okay? How many times does 4 go into 7? Well, 4 only fits into 7 one time. Okay? There's going to be 3 left over though, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, right? So 4 fits into 7 one time with 3 left over. I'm going to put the leftover number 3 right here next to this 5. Okay? And I'm going to make that number 35. Can you see that? 3, that's 35. So now how many times does 4 go into 35? How many times can 4 go into 35? Well, 4 can go into 35 8 times, because 4 times 8 is 32. 4 times 9 is 36. That's too much. We want 35. So the closest we can get is 32. So I'm going to put 8 here, but 4 times 8 is 32, and this is 35. So what's left over? 32, 33, 34, 35. 3 is left over. Again, 4 times 8 is 32. So 4 fits into 35 8 times, but there will be 3 left over because 32, 34, 32, 33, 34, 35. Okay, so the leftover goes here and we keep the same denominator. And that is our answer. How many points did Tyrone get? Tyrone got 18 3/4 of a point. That is doing the problem, putting them all into fractions. So let's talk about putting them all into decimals. So remember the question was, what is half of 37.5? So let's write that down here. What is half of 37.5? Same question, what is half of 37.5? This time, instead of making 37.5 into a fraction, we're going to make 1/2 into a decimal, okay? So all decimals now. We're going to do all decimals. So what is 1/2 as a decimal? 1/2, remember, what we want to do is make a base 10 if we can. And we can because we can multiply that times 5. Means we'd multiply this times 5 and we get 5/10. So 1/2 is 0.5. That is a 5 in the tenths place. So we're going to multiply 0.5 times, remember of means multiplication most of the time, 37.5. 0.5 times 37.5. If you remember multiplying with decimals, we're just going to stack them right on top of each other. And I like to put the longer one first because with multiplication, it doesn't matter which one you put first. And then I like to put the shorter one on the bottom. Okay. Remember also, you don't have to line up your decimals with multiplication, and you don't really have to pay attention to the decimals until the very end. Okay, so I'm going to start in this bottom right-hand corner, and I'm going to multiply this 5 times each of the numbers on the top. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to carry the 2, bring down the 5. 5 times 7 is 35, plus 2 is 37. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 3 is 18. I don't have to multiply by 0 because all I'm going to get is zeros. Okay, so now I have to put the decimal in my answer. So what I do is I count how many decimal places are in the problem, or how many decimal places are in the two factors. This factor has 1 decimal place. This factor has 1 decimal place. So that's 1, 2. So I'm going to start from here. I'm going to go 1, 2. I'm going to put the decimal right there. So now there are 2 decimal places in the answer. Okay. So the answer is 18.75. So if you look at our answer from above, okay, we have 18.75 as a decimal, which is the same as 18 3/4 as a fraction. 3/4, remember, is 3/4, which is 75 cents. 18.75, there's 75, kind of like 75 cents. Okay, so that's 2 examples of the same problem. One of them we did all fractions. We converted the decimal to a fraction, so we had all fractions. The other one we did all decimals. We converted the fraction to a decimal, so we had all decimals. Okay, so when you have a problem where you have a mix of fractions and decimals, you have to decide, am I going to make them all fractions or am I going to make them all decimals? Which one is easiest for me? And then do the problem with either all fractions or all decimals.